Hey, Dylan, good morning. Welcome to the Born or Made podcast.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for ordering this great weather up here, man. This was nice this morning getting up.
It was beautiful today.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad day. So I like to start things off kind of simple, just starting to find out kind of your history of your life. So where were you born originally?
Smolensk, Russia.
Russia?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
And how old were you when you moved to America?
3.
3. Were you adopted?
Yes.
You
With
were-
my twin.
And you have a twin brother or
Yeah,
sister?
Brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do y'all look alike?
I'm way better looking.
That's what everybody always says, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So do you remember anything about Russia? 3?
It's funny you ask. So when our whole life, we didn't remember anything at all. Really? And then we turned 20, and I started to see some success. My brother was in college, and it was like, for some reason, I felt like I was seeing things and remembering things that I didn't know if it was real or not. So I'd asked him, I was like, hey, out of curiosity, are you starting to remember things from the orphanage? He's like, so funny you ask. Yes. So all the way our lives, we didn't remember anything. And then at 20, suddenly we can remember certain things. And the older we get, the more we remember.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, is it pretty positive?
None of
memories?
it's positive.
Yeah,
It's an
okay.
orphanage in Russia.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen the videos. You don't know what you see is how accurate it is or stuff like that, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's not America.
No, it's a foreign orphanage that was not, regulated, was not well kept, there are no rules. It's like, here's one thing I do remember. So when it was time for kids to be viewing, you would get in a line, and you had, I guess, a minute or 2 to use the bathroom. If you didn't use the bathroom, you'd go back to the back room. If you used the bathroom, they put you in winter clothes, and they'd stuff them up, and they put makeup on your face to make you look healthy. And then they'd push you out and go talk to the parents. And if you didn't make it, you'd come back, get stripped down, be put in your pajamas, and put back in the back room.
Now, were the people that you were speaking to, were they Americans, Russians? I mean, they were just all over the globe? Do you
Luckily
know?
for me and my brother, when we first met, the first family who adopted us.
So you're very fortunate because I would have think the odds were very high that you would have been separated.
They offered it. They offered it to our parents. Yes, they did.
So you come to America, you're 3 years old.
Yep.
When do you kind of start remembering that this is my parents and this is
I remember, so we had an alcoholic father.
Okay.
And my mother now. And they got a divorce. And then I didn't hear from him for 10 years. My mom went to nursing school. She was a teacher. She went to nursing school to build us a better life. Moved us to Connecticut, got a job at Yale. And then after that, she got remarried to our now father who adopted us for Christmas in 2014. And I don't think I would be where I am or who I am without him, because he showed us how men hold themselves, their integrity, how they dress, what they do. I'm going to get it tattooed, but he said when we were growing up, he was like, we're men, and what men do is we show up no matter what.
That's right.
That's what we do. And I remember when I was 18, I'd got my internship. I was getting hired by a tech firm, and I'd said, what is one lesson you can tell me that I can carry for the rest of my life? And he goes, show up no matter what. And
Bingo.
I've taken that, and I've showed up 110% everywhere I go, always. And that is the best advice I've ever been given, and I give it all the time. And I love telling that story because that is what he told me.
That is so cool. So when you were, before obviously you moved up here, where were you at before your parents got divorced? What part
New
of the country?
Hampshire.
So you're okay. So you were fairly close then.
Went from New Hampshire to Milford, Connecticut to New York.
Okay. And so you going to let's say you're going to first grade, and are you up here now? Or are you still up in?
First grade was New Hampshire.
Okay,
We were in
and
New
then-
Hampshire till 4th grade, and then Connecticut until 6th, 7th grade, and then 7th grade to 12th was New York.
So as you're going through grade school and stuff like that, were you good in academics? Were you
Absolutely
more sports?
not. So
Okay.
I was diagnosed with ADHD and put on Ritalin
Welcome
Concerta
to the
for 10
club,
years. And Ritalin Concerta is basically meth if you break it down
Yep,
chemically.
that's right.
So if you look at any childhood photos of me, my legs are covered in scabs, and so is my face, because I kept picking. Because I got what they call
Yeah.
meth mites. You feel like there's stuff under your
yeah.
skin. So I had scabs everywhere. My hobby was scratching my skin until it bled, having the scab grow, pick the scab. So I was covered in scabs and scars. So when my dad adopted us in 2014, he didn't get it. He was like, this kid. So I showed up early. I'd work with my teachers early. I'd skip my lunches, skip my gyms.
Just
stay
trying to
after.
get through school.
Just trying to understand, get
Yeah.
through, and I'm putting all this work in and stay after, work with my parents till 9, 10 p.m., and then turn around and get a 50 on a test. Turn around and get a 50 on a homework. Turn around and get a 50 on a project.
That's
Turn around,
defeating.
fail this, fail that. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not showing up early enough. Wait, maybe I have to pay attention more. So my dad was like realizing what I was doing, and his light bulb was when I got student of the month. And he was like, what?
How? Yeah, I mean, what
What
was
the
the
hell?
light bulb? Yeah.
And he was like, why did you get student of the month? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, you have 40s. How did you get student of the month? And I was like, I have no idea. So then he went and scheduled a parent-teacher conference with my mom, him, and all of my teachers. And he was like, I'm not that my son doesn't deserve it, but I want to know what happened here. Can we pull my son's grades up? And in the meeting, they're like, yeah. He goes, I see a 37 as an overall grade. I see a 40. I see a 50. And I see a 60. He got student of the month. I don't understand. And they're like, your son works harder than every kid in here. He shows up early. He skips his lunch. He skips his gyms. He stays after. He asks questions. When he has study halls, he goes to a teacher and asks her questions and shows his homework. He goes, really? He does all that work, and he has all these grades. And he was like, they're like, yeah, that's what we gave him student of the month. And he was like, something's not right. So then he went and reverse engineered it and goes, we're going to have him reevaluated completely. So at 16, I went to Marta Flom for 2 days straight, 10-hour days. And she evaluated me in every way they could academically. And she was like, he has dyslexia. He doesn't have ADHD. He should not be on meds. And he was like, well, I knew something was wrong. So I remember he picked me up the
So
second.
that was only 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
16 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
He picked me up, and we were driving home, and he was like, so here's the deal. You're done with meds, you don't have ADHD, and you have dyslexia. And I don't know why I did, but I apologized because I felt like I was wasting his time this whole time. I was like, I'm so sorry. And he was like, I'm so curious on how you did it. And I'm like, how'd I do what? And he goes, you're in 10th grade. I'm like, uh-huh. And he goes, how'd you get there? I go, showed up at school like everybody else. He goes, how did you get here? They don't pass you in high school. You'll fail, you'll fail. How did you get here? And then I was like, showed up. And he was like, well, tell me what you did to show up. So I went through what I was doing because I didn't know he scheduled that meeting with my teachers. He did it without me.
He didn't know. You didn't know about that part.
No.
Okay.
And I explained it to him. He goes, really? And he goes, and you were still smiling and making friends? I go, yeah. And he goes, and you were still happy to do homework with us? I was like, yeah. And he was like, why? I go, because if I get one win a day, I can come back tomorrow. And he's like, no shit. And I was like, yeah. So if I understand one problem, so say I'm supposed to do 12 problems in algebra, but I get one right without the teacher, I can come back tomorrow. If I understand one thing in social studies, I can come back tomorrow. If I understand what the science teacher's saying, I get one answer right on a bubble sheet, I can come back tomorrow. He was like, that's what you're running off of? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, you have dyslexia. How many letters are in the alphabet? And I said something like 50. And he was like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, I'm serious. He goes, you don't know how many letters are in the alphabet. That was wrong. And I was like, I guess not. And then we were standing in the driveway by this point, and he said, you know, are you willing to get a tutor? And I remember looking him in his eyes and tearing up and saying, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to stop being this stupid kid. And
Yeah.
it was fair enough. And from there on, I was signed by Stephanie and did Orton Gillingham, which is rewiring your entire brain.
Yep.
Where you learn ABC as the first day is the letter A. So for 2 years, every day for 2 hours, I would go to my tutor. And that is why my dad insured my car, so I could drive to my tutor. So, like, still, I was always like, oh, I get to drive my car for an hour a day by myself with no parents, so I have music and I'm independent and I'm an adult. Like, that's how I was looking at it. That's a win.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's a win. So he was like, okay. So I did it for 2 years, caught up. I ended up going to trade school 11th and 12th. I was class of COVID, so I didn't get a full 12. Graduated in 2020.
You were COVID. Okay.
Senior in high school in 2020.
Oh, God.
I graduated with a trade school degree for microcomputer science and a high school diploma, believe it or not. And then it was COVID, so the world shut down. So it's kind of like, now what? And I lost my internship. And my dad was like, well, the Army worked for me. And I was like, oh, no, there's no way I'm going to the Army. Like, I don't know why the idea terrified me of, like, being physically government property and not being able to say where I'm going, when I'm going, how I'm going, who I'm going with. They're just government property. I didn't like that idea. Respect everybody in the service. My parents were in the service. Like, it's so much more respect to them due to my unreasonable fear. And I said, fair enough. And then the interns, they said, we're not hiring interns. And I was like, can I work for free? I'll do anything. Literally, I go, you've
Something in computers, though.
Yes, it was at a small tech firm 2 blocks that way.
Okay.
And I said, can I work for free? You don't have to pay me. Just let me work for you so I can put it on my resume. You have nothing to lose. I don't care if I don't even touch tech. Can I just do whatever you need for the summer? And he's like, well, I guess when you put it that way, yeah. So I worked for free and ended up, went from 3 months to 9 months. Supposed to be a summer internship, it lasted 9. 5 months in, I started getting paid. and the company was sold.
Ah,
And when the company was sold, the CEO made sure that I made the acquisition and transfer. So I got hired as an intern there. That was only another 3 months because that was a real big company that bought us. Like, you're an intern, you're done in 3 months.
right. You're first in,
So
first out.
I was supposed to be done in August. I was done in January. So I had lengthened and created that opportunity and stretched that thing all the way out. When I was supposed to be done in August, I was done in January on my birthday, and ended up getting paid for four of the months. And I remember calling him and being like, "Thank you so much for everything. Just let you know they ended my internship. I don't know what to do now." And he said, "Oh, let me make a call." Made a call to a tech firm that's 2 blocks up the road instead of over the road. Told them everything that I did and what I've done. And like, I was washing cars. I was picking people up from the airport. I was doing groceries for his house.
Really?
I was doing groceries for the office. I was cleaning the office. I was doing the intern work or more than. And I got hired at 20 as a tech engineer at that firm up the street in office. Worked there like that for 2 years, getting paid like $30,000 a year. Nothing. Just
But at least you're getting paid.
Yep, getting paid. Yeah. Could pay for my gas. You know, like I could pay for my gas.
Mm-hmm.
And then got promoted 3 times in that company, signed a bunch of clients, ended up traveling the country for 2.5 years for Oppenheimer, Starwood, Locke, Eli Lilly, and these hedge funds. And one of those hedge funds just picked me up in May, and they asked me my number, and I gave them a number that to me was unrealistic. And they said, "When can you start?"
And what did you do? Oh, I should have gone higher, right? It's always.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm 24, no college, and making 6 figures, and got
Good
into a
for
hedge
you.
fund. But during that chapter of building that career, I was like, what? I found, Ryan Serhant, David Meltzer, Tony Robbins, Ed Milet when it was COVID. And I was running every night. And I resonated with it. I was like, why do I resonate with this? And I said, you know what? I'm going to take this Instagram page as serious as I take my tech job. And I'm going to do a selfie video every day. And I'm going to put my morals into it where if I get 1 like, 1 view, 1 comment, 1 share, I can make another one. When that stops, I'll stop. I'm going to answer to the masses. I got 5 views and a like on the first post. I was like, great, I can come back tomorrow. So I did selfie videos for 1.5 years. When I signed to the tech firm up here, King Carl Michelle had his studio next door in the same building. I found out what it was. I looked it up. I knocked on the door during my lunch, came in, introduced him, told him who I was.
Is that when you met Carl?
Yep. Told him who I was. I was 20 years old, what I wanted to do, and that I had dyslexia. And he goes, great. And he signed me to his studio at 20 with no reason. I said I'm dyslexic and work at a tech firm and make $20,000 a year. That was the original conversation. He said, we'll work it out. Came back for a follow-up meeting on a Saturday and told him my whole story I just told you. And he goes, okay, great. I'll sign you for 10 episodes. I did 10 episodes, and I ended up bringing like my dad, my mom, my high school counselor. I interviewed Carl, and then your contract terms were you have to either bring guests or let your producer know you don't have one for the week, so he can get you one for the week. And when I couldn't get one, I remember my feeling like, oh, I let him down. Like this was terrible. I couldn't get a guest. You don't believe how hard it is to get 10 guests when you're 20 and don't know anybody.
Absolutely, it's hard. Yeah.
And it was the best thing I couldn't do because the first guest he got me was Tony Marino. Tony Marino at the time was on tour with Fetty Wap. He was hanging out with Rick Ross, sponsored by Bel Air. Tony was my age at the time. And I'm like, oh. So I get sent this PDF 48 hours before he goes, you're interviewing Tony Marino in the studio this day at this time, be early. And I'm like, no way.
You knew who Tony Marino was at the
I
time?
looked him up. He has
okay.
a record with DJ Drewski, was on tour with Fetty Wap at the time, and I was like, there's no way. Walk in, sure as shit, Tony Marino standing right there, and I'm like, wow. We ended up becoming best friends. So interview him, connect with him big time. He invites me to one of his shows. I go to his show. Then I go to his after party. Then we become friends. And then I invite him to my first conference ever. He comes. I interview him. He was so impressed and so happy and like, oh, I like this kid, that he then invited me as a guest to Fashion Week. So I go from this 20-year-old kid to Fashion Week with Tony Marino and Fetty Wap.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck's going on? And I'm just a guest. I'm just taking it all in. I'm backstage with him. He's like, is there anything you need? I'm hanging out with his mom in the booth. And what a crazy experience. And then next year I have another event, A to B 2 with Brandon. I invite Tony. He comes. He's like, sold out theater, red carpet. What the heck? Okay. And then I get a call from him and he goes, Prestige. I pitched you to Prestige, which is his agency. Would you walk in Fashion Week? I go, absolutely not. Like, I am not a model any means. And I go, but I'd love to work with Prestige. She goes, oh, can I connect you with the owner? I'm like, yeah. So we worked out where I was a celebrity guest, sat front row, did red carpet interviews, introduced models and products.
So you actually did the interviews?
I did the interviews on the
What a
red carpet,
great
and I
opportunity.
did intros for all of the models and brands and designers on the runway.
What was that like? I bet that was fun.
So that was my videographer's first day that I really threw him in, and an Escalade shows up at my house at 9 a.m. with a driver and
Not a Camry, an Escalade.
brand new Escalade with a driver in a suit, earpiece, and a manager from Prestige in the passenger seat. And he hands me this laminated sheet, and he goes, that's your day. And it was like from 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. full. So I ended up city hopping in this Escalade with a complete, I didn't realize what I was doing, but with a complete itinerary. Okay, you have this red carpet at this building from these 2 times. Okay, you're interviewing, you know who Barry Sternlicht is? Owner of Starwood Capital Group.
Okay.
You're interviewing Barry Sternlicht's personal trainer in his studio in Midtown. Okay, now you're going to Soho to do this red carpet event and be a celebrity guest who's appeared. Well, in Soho, it's this huge church with a huge red carpet and these real celebrities like Justina Valentine showed up, Justin Love showed up, Logan Paul was there, Mike Malak was there, a bunch of like A-lists were there. And I'm like, I remember pulling up to the front and there's like flashing cameras, and I've never seen more of a Cadillac dealership on just a street. Like one side was Cadillac.
So when you get out of the car, are they taking
They're
pictures
taking
of you?
pictures of me. And by this time, Tony Marino's already done his stuff.
Yeah.
But I've agreed to a full day because I didn't model, so he's with me. And we're laughing our butts off because I get out and they're like, Tony Marino, X, Y, and Z. And then they're yelling at me, I love your music. So we're laughing because they're telling me they love my music. I don't sing. I don't dance. I don't play any
Who did they think
instrument.
you were?
I don't know. And we were laughing
that's
because they're like,
funny.
he's like, they're telling you they love your music. And I was like, okay.
Who cares?
Who cares?
Just enjoy it.
Yeah. And then after that, we went to this private after party at Mr. Purple in Midtown. Didn't even know what Mr. Purple is. So we ended up sitting in this booth with Shayna Appel, who has a #1 show on Netflix right now, with Jules Walcott, who's got a #1 show. We have Tony Marino. We have all these celebrities. And now by this time, we had after the second event, they put me upstairs with all the VIPs. And they just started serving us gin and tonics. So I'm like getting into this Escalade at midnight, thinking the night's over. Like, oh, you've got to show up to the after party because you are an appearance at the after party. I get into this booth and it is great pandemonium. Like the Escalade pulls up, security comes out, grabs it, and literally has his hand on my shoulder and is pushing me in the building through into the elevator. And then he doesn't get in for us. I'm like, that's odd. We get out and there's another one when we get out. And he's like, with us. And he's pushing us through the crowd, gets us into the booth, and then 2 just stand in front of the booth. And I'm like, and I didn't like club like this before.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah.
And
that's
I'm-
what stuff you see on TV.
Yeah, and I'm like, what the heck? And then I get there, and I've never understood the booth. Having a booth in a club is like being the most famous person in the world, especially when, I guess maybe I was just in that booth. But you have a security guard there, a rope. Every girl is like, who's in that booth? And
No kidding.
everybody had a girlfriend that night.
And how old were you at that point?
This was 22 years old.
That's got to be like,
I just got home
mean-
from traveling for Oppenheimer for 2 years and these investment bankers, and that was my like welcome home with Tony Marino.
no kidding. Wow. So I want to go back to something though. So you're riding in the car with your dad. We're going to go way back for a minute. And he told you had dyslexia. Did you know what that meant?
No,
Yeah.
but I remember that he described it in a way that I use now.
I want to hear this because I've interviewed a lot of guys with dyslexia.
And I said, he goes, you were probably the hardest working person I've met and known from understanding what your teachers told me. And I want to let you know that we're going to work this out, but you need to understand this now. The words on the paper may be backwards, but you're not. And I don't know why, but I'll never forget that moment.
That's
And now
great.
I tell kids that, and I say that in talks, and people say that. And now it is the title of my book
Yeah.
that's coming out. The words are backwards, you're not.
That is so cool. And so you get off that all the ADHD medicine. So did you recover quick from that?
No. Oh my
No,
God, I got
really?
fat and ugly. Yes.
Did you really?
So when
because you're taking
on,
basic
you're
meth.
on meth for 10 years, so your body's like, this is how we operate. You get off, and of course, I'm a kid. I had food habits. My favorite thing in the world was Takis, Sunday Dashers,
Takis.
Monster Energy, and pizza. Well, when you're on meth, you can eat all that in the world, and
Yeah, it doesn't
it's
matter.
gone. Within like 90 days, I've doubled in size. So now I'm 16, still can't read, working on it, figuring it out, and I'm ballooning up. So 16 is probably one of the most judgmental times in life.
So how much? So you 120 pounds, and then you went to 180.
I was 106 and went to 140.
Okay, as a percentage, that's a lot. That's
At 5'3", I'm not a tall
Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
5 pounds on me, you see it.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
I went
kidding.
from wearing extra smalls to extra larges.
No kidding. But did your skin recover quickly?
Oh yeah,
Obviously,
I have
you
no
look-
stretch marks or anything, but it
That's
was
crazy.
definitely not a secure time in life. Bro.
No, God, I can remember at 16, my hair went from straight, kind of semi-curly to where I had an afro. I mean, it just like overnight, you hit puberty or you're well into puberty at that
Yeah.
point. Yeah, it messes you up. So there's different types of dyslexia. So was yours just the words were scrambled or?
I have the severe. So like for me, here's a great example. I can read. So today I read emails from a hedge fund and stuff, and I'll read it 5 times, and I'll look at it 6. Read it 5, look at it 6, send it, come back 2 hours later and be like, that's not English.
Really?
Yeah. Like I'm like, okay, looks good. Looks
Because it used to
good.
be, you always thought A, just like when you saw an E, it was backwards. But yours could be, E should be the last letter of the word, but it actually may be in the middle of the word when
Yes.
you look at it.
Yeah, you know, have you seen the show The Jetsons? Mm-hmm. You know how all the things are flying around when it comes in? That's so sentences will grab themselves for me, and they'll do that. And then if you really look
You
at
see them
them,
move?
yes, and you look at them really, and now the letters inside the sentences are flipping, and you're like, what?
I've interviewed 3 guys for sure that 100% dyslexic. Most of them didn't find out. The youngest one now, other than you, was 24 years old when he found out.
Wow.
So you were 16.
16.
One guy was like 36. No, he was 36. He's a famous artist. The other guy's written 5 best-selling books. He was actually going through the airport, and he finally got so frustrated, he grabbed a book and finally said, I am going to figure out what is wrong with me. And because he wanted to read this book. And that's how, but he's self-diagnosed, and he's one of the smartest guys I've ever met now because he really studied the brain.
Yeah.
And I've learned 2 things, and this is it is a trait. Dyslexic people and alcoholics or drug addicts are 3 of the best business people you will ever meet because they're able to focus. And then dyslexic people have this incredible gift of creativity.
Dyslexic, you're forced to think with the creative side of your brain because you have
That's
to
right.
think
It was
outside of the
that's
box
right.
to just survive.
That's right. That's what my one buddy said. And you should see this guy paint. And the other guy is so creative in his writing. It's unbelievable. And I mean, it blew my mind because that's right. It was something to do because you're using a different side of your brain, but it's functioning different too. though.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I've learned this through all these different guys. I've interviewed more guys that are drug addicts and alcoholic recovering than I have dyslexic, but they all have the same trait though. So it should encourage you. Should encourage other people.
I wanted to tell those stories just to any kid who's like, you know, I just graduated college or high school and I don't know what I'm going to do. Here's the cool thing. I tell this to everybody. I heard it from David Meltzer, and now I tell everybody. Don't give anybody a hard time because it's their first time at life too.
Yeah, and you only get one.
It's your first time at life. So
I love that.
When you're like, oh, my parents X, Y, and Z, or this person, dude, it's their first time at life. We're all still learning.
No kidding. Huh. So your brother, so you're a twin.
I'm a twin.
Okay. Now is your brother around here as well?
He is. He lives home.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So where are you going now? So what's on your radar heading out? You know, you've done some amazing things by the time you're 22 years old. You've done all this stuff. So kind of give me 22 to 24.
23, we landed a tour and a TV show with David Meltzer. Crazy. And I went on tour I ended up working with Jason Aldean and his drummer. I worked with Teddy Swims. I worked with David Meltzer. I worked with Craig Siegel. I worked with Michael Chandler, the UFC champion. Worked with Justina
really?
Valentine.
Okay.
you go on tour and it gives you immediate credibility that you didn't even realize. I didn't realize. And now you find yourself in, 4 days no sleep, 1 day sleep. 4 days no sleep, 1 day sleep. And you're running all these productions and getting all these stages and going to these dinners and getting on these airplanes and getting to these hotels and checking out these hotels and then just repeat. And it ended in Vegas with the TV show. So we stayed a day later and just kind of partied. But you're like, life doesn't feel real when you're on tour. Then you get home and they all told me be careful of after tour depression. And I'm like, what are they talking about? I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever experienced.
Because of the letdown?
Because you get home, I was at the tech firm running 5 different clients, balancing tour, balancing life, balancing working out every day, balancing doing this TV stuff. And then I get home in December. Family went to Egypt for Christmas. I couldn't make it because I had to go back to work at the tech firm because I took so much time off. And now I went from with 20 to 40 people a day, like intimately in a circle, at a dinner table, at a studio, on a stage, in a green room, on a plane, in a hotel room, in an after party, to just me for a month. And you're like, now you're stuck, and you're like, it's weird because you're like, oh, I'm not doing anything. Am I relevant anymore? Am I doing something right? Should I be relaxing? What's going on?
Yeah.
And I found myself in the after tour depression, which was the most terrifying thing.
So what'd you do to break it? Just work more, or did you get out and start running?
Originally, I don't recommend it, but every weekend I just started, I went from first, okay, just Friday night and Saturday night I'll drink and smoke and party to kind of ignore it and escape.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'll only do it if I'm out with friends. And then friends, it was Christmas season, so they couldn't do it. So then I started doing it alone. No. And then it went from, okay, I'll just smoke Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I'll drink the weekends. And then just kind of grew to a point where it got to a point where I was trying to finish work faster to get fucked up.
Yeah.
Which was the worst mindset.
Yeah.
And then that just only makes it worse. Now you're paralyzed.
And it makes your depression even worse.
Correct. So, because I think the reason is because when I was building for tour, I said I'm going sober for a year. And I went sober for a year. I wasn't drinking at all much at the time, just weekends or after parties, which are on the weekends. So it wasn't anything crazy. And I wasn't getting throw up drunk either. I was just having a couple gin and tonics, feeling
You're
good.
young too. You wake up not as foggy. You get to be my age, you do that, you lose a day.
Yeah. And I was just socially drinking. And then at this point, I'm just, not good. And life's all about it. You make a decision. I was like, you know what? I'm done. So I said, I'm really good. I've always, when I was in high school, I chewed tobacco. One day I threw it out. Never touched it again.
That's a great gift. I'm able to do that as well.
Same with when I said I was going sober for a year. As soon as I said it and committed to it, I didn't even crave anything. I didn't want it. I didn't have interest in it. So when I said I was done, I then committed to an hour on the Stairmaster every day, lifting every day until failure. And now I started chasing these gym highs. And that opens your creative side of the brain. And then things started to pick up a little bit more. So I started doing another podcast, and I started getting invited to dinners with David Meltzer and Craig, and showed up at some more shows, and then booked some more shows. And then I'm like, oh yeah, this is Dylan Smith. And then, now I'm so grateful because before I've had people come up to me after stages telling me, you saved my life. I was going through depression. I saw your speech. I came to your show. And if this wasn't what I thought it was, I was going to kill myself. I'm so glad I came. Thank you, saved my life. And I make it a point no, you saved your life. I didn't save your life. So now understanding depression a little bit more because I went through it, I can better understand, 1, and 2, attend to it. If you tell me you're depressed, you went through all this, I can't just say, oh, no, I appreciate it. How can I help you? It's more like, I understand.
Yeah, we don't talk about it a lot as a society. I mean, it's becoming more relevant. I think men are worse about it, but we all go through some form of depression. So do you drink now, or did you just stay?
I'm sober.
You gonna stay that way?
Until I'm done with this next tour, yeah. I'm always sober on tour.
Yeah. That's becoming quite a movement in the United States now. I've seen more and more people are just stop drinking.
But probably at the after party in November, I'll probably have drinks because tour is probably the most stressful. Because I'm not an artist who signed to a label who just, my manager calls and says you're going on tour, and that's kind of I'm going to go here, wear what they say, and do what they say. It's I'm organizing it. I'm filling seats. I'm getting sponsors. I'm hosting it. I'm speaking it. I'm putting it together. I'm promoting it. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So I'm also working full time at a hedge fund. That's a lot.
So when are you going to quit working at the hedge fund and start doing this full time?
When it
We'll wait till after you tell your hedge fund that before we post this. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
when my speaking business, mentor business, book, and hosting businesses exceed the 100,000 plus that I make at the hedge fund.
If you make it full time, then you'll make it happen faster once you just do it.
I agree, but my expenses don't agree.
Well, a guy
I'm
told me
24, and my expenses are 10 grand a month.
Yeah, well, that's probably a little high. But what I've found that if you make the 100% commitment, you'll make it. You just got to jump in with both feet and just get it done. It's because you have a little bit of security, and you've got to, at some point you're going to let that security go.
Yeah.
And just get in there and do it. You will be shocked, like when you do it, which you will do it at some point.
Yeah.
And you get on top, you're going to look back and go, I should have done that sooner.
Yeah, I heard that a bunch of times.
It's because I'm 40 years above you.
Right.
So, I mean, I can tell you, you've got a very long runway. I'm 62, so I have a very short runway. You need to just go out and do it because what's the worst that's going to happen? Like, literally, what is the worst that'll happen?
I fucked my credit score up.
Okay. 2 years later, you fix it. I mean, it's very much, and that probably won't happen, but you just got to get in there and make it happen. Because with everything I'm hearing, you're already doing it. You're just not letting go of that little bit of security. And I think if you went out and did it, I think you would just blow up. It's just going to be taking that 60 days, 90 days of total unsecurity and be able to get out there and do it. Because everything I'm hearing, you're already there.
Yeah.
You're already there. You just got to let go.
Yeah, for sure. But it's also, I do have to let go, I agree. But when I've been big on chasing all my dreams and goals, and when I was a kid, this is a terrible example, but it's what happened. I always tell everybody that. I was 15, I found the movie Wolf of Wall Street, like everybody else did, and I'm like, I want to work at a hedge fund. So as a kid, I wanted to walk a red carpet, I wanted to be on a TV show, I wanted to be on stage, I wanted to be friends and work with celebrities. I did all that.
And you're working at a hedge fund.
And I wanted to work at a
hedge
fund.
So
check.
So push that sucker off and let's go, man.
Yeah.
I think you're there. I mean, I think you're already so close.
I said I'll give it a year. I told myself a year.
Okay. So what do you got coming up now? Anything new and exciting coming up in the next 6 months?
I own the brand 1% with my partners. And that brand's on tour too.
That's the one you did in Chicago?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
We own that brand. So we have one in Chicago last week. And in 5 weeks, we have it in Springfield, Missouri. And then November.
Oh, you're doing one in Missouri too. Okay.
And then we have one in November in New York.
Why did you pick Springfield, Missouri?
So that's where we launched it because our original partner, this wasn't like partner, he'd come to me last year and asked, hey, he made A to B and he goes, hey, I want to do an event like this. I need your help. Brandon told me you're the guy to talk to. And I was like, I am, but I'm in the middle of a tour. Like, no way. And he was like, I'll cover everything. Just tell me what to do. Flew me first class, put me in a 5-star hotel, gave me keys to a Corvette, and just said, tell me what to do. And I was like, fair. So here I am building this thing, and I had to fill seats, build the stage, build a red carpet, build a brand, build a logo, sell sponsors, sell speakers, and put people in seats, and then tell them exactly how we're going to run it. So 9 months, I got 10 states to fly out. I raised $20,000. We had a red carpet. We had a stage. We had a backdrop. We had lights. We had fire. We had a good attendance, and we had professional photo and video. And then I ended up setting the venue up with them, emceeing, hosting, running panels, headlining, and promoting. Like, I ran the whole thing. And at the end, he was like, I want to do more like this. And then he called me. He was like, I want to do this, like, big. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I want to take this thing on tour. I want you to be the face of it. I want you to run it, X, Y, and Z. And I was like, Right now, I don't know. And then I got off tour, and that's actually what got me out. He called me right when I was in the middle of my depression, like, what's it going to take? And I was like, here are my demands. And this year, I was like, I want an LED wall. I want CO2 cannons. I want exotic cars, and I want billionaires. And he goes, okay, let's do it. And we just did that in Chicago. So
in the Chicago was good?
Great.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Everything worked out. I mean, what are you going to do different now? You've done Chicago.
We've done Springfield, and we're coming back to Springfield.
And so what are you going to do different?
We have a new venue.
Okay.
When you were doing stuff and you're so stressed about like the day-to-day and the production, you don't realize. I showed up to a production and show out in Springfield that heard of me in February after everything. So that was like my first stage back. I ended up going back to Springfield, of course, hilarious. I'm famous in Springfield. I'm like, oh my God.
Springfield, Missouri.
I know.
Whoop, whoop.
I know.
Yeah,
it's funny,
yeah.
but like I go out there and it's like they announced me and everybody's like, I need to meet Dylan Smith. And I was like, what? So I guess, it's not a big city, but I'm a big name in that. I'm a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, there's nothing wrong with the big fish.
In a small pond.
Yeah, in a small pond.
Yeah, but Springfield loves Dylan Smith, so I love Springfield.
So then after Springfield, where are you thinking you're going? I mean, you kind of have 4 or 5 cities laid out in
So
front
the
of you.
reason that is my other partner lives in Chicago. The other partner lives in Springfield. I live in New York. So I said for us to make sense of this, I go, if this will probably what's going to take me out of the hedge fund is we all host it in our own cities. We help, but we have to host and do all the things. So you understand this side of the bit. My big thing is they need to understand this side. Like Chicago, I said, I'll get you a sponsor. But you can call me anytime, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 5 a.m., 1 a.m., 1 p.m., but you're going to put this thing together. Because otherwise you won't understand it, and we'll be stuck in a system where you guys are like, where's Dylan? I don't want that either.
Yep.
And funny story, the reason I did that is Brandon Goodors did Map Your Way to Financial Freedom. I attended. Then I did A to B 1. I paid to speak. I spoke. And then after A to B, I go, I want to host one with you. And he goes, you have to host your own event. So I hosted Defying All Odds Day. And he did the same thing. He goes,
You did that one here?
I did that in Norwalk, Connecticut.
Okay.
And he was like, you can call me anytime, but you have to do this so you understand it. So I did it, and it was amazing. Sold out, and brought Sean Crane and all these cool people, Christian Perry in. And
Yep.
he goes, okay, you want to do A to B too? I go, yeah. He goes, where? I go, theater. I want it in a theater. He goes, a theater? I go, a theater. Found UConn, and I said, we're going to do it here. And I was there every step of the way. Like me and him were on phone calls for probably 5 hours a day minimum. And I was learning every day. We were both spending money.
And that was 2.
That was 2.
And then 3 was the one we just did last.
No, it was 4 we just did.
4 was the last.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was at that one at the theater.
So I spoke at every A to B.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where I met you, I saw you. I still can't remember if I think we may have met, but you were in and out quick.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I actually enjoyed that event. There was a lot more to it than I realized. I mean, I'd never been to something like that. And man, it was awesome. I met so many great people.
Funny story. So me and Brandon, you have to go on a mini promo tour to get people to come. So you go to all these other conferences and meet these people. Alex Morton, huge, he sells out arenas for speaking. We went to his conference together in Miami. I remember telling Brandon, I want him to come to our event. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to share a stage with him. So I upgraded my ticket with money I didn't have to go to the after party to meet Alex. Stood in line for 2 hours to meet Alex Morton with his security and everything. And I told him who I was, my story. He said, DM me. I DM'd him. Never answered. But before I left, he grabbed my arm and he was like, you don't want a photo? You waited in line for 2 hours. And I remember this was the boldest thing I've ever done in my life. And I said, no need. I'll share a stage with you one day. And every kid in line was like, you should take that picture. And he goes, listen, I appreciate the hunger, but let's take a picture. I go, I don't want it this way. And the next A to B3, he came and headlined. So I met him backstage and I went, hey, Alex. And he goes, you're the kid. Did you speak to the guy? I opened. He goes, how'd it go? I went, got a standing ovation. And he was like, really? And I go, and this is my event with Brandon. I host this with him. And he was like, no way. And then he gave me his phone number. So he said that was like one of his top experiences. He's like, no one's ever done that. I'm like,
no, I guarantee you. I wouldn't even have thought of it.
And he was like, I get it now. And he goes, no one else would have done that. And I was like, now we can take a photo backstage. And he's like, okay. No, at first I go, now we take a photo backstage. He goes, no.
He didn't, yeah, touche.
Yeah.
So you said you were writing a book?
I am writing a book. Yeah, the words are backwards, you're not. And it's coming out in 2026.
All right, good. And are you well into writing it?
Yeah, I have 2 more sessions with Carl.
Fantastic. Well, great. Well, we've run out of time. It always goes so fast.
It does go so fast.
Yeah, it's always enjoyable.
Yeah.
So I always like to finish up all of my podcasts with the question of, do you think you were born or do you think you were made?
I think I was made. made to change lives. I think I was put here for a reason to inspire. That's something I always get told by Brandon and stuff in my mentors is like, I was like, why do so many people open doors and want to work with me so easily? And he goes, you inspire everybody you touch. And I was like, really? So I think I was made to inspire and lead by example.
Yeah, and you're doing a great job. And man, I can't wait to see you in 5 years.
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully we'll share a stage together one day as well.
November.
But I'm gonna get a picture with you after this
Let's
anyway,
do it.
regardless. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the Born or Made podcast.
Thank
It's
you
been
so
a
much
pleasure.
for having me.
You bet. Thank you.